Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our virtual Mishnah Berurah share. I've been trying hard to get back onto a regular schedule of saying share every day. It's been a little bit difficult. Thank you to my loyal listeners for bearing with me. Hopefully, we're getting back on track. So, we're holding a Mishnah Berurah Chelik Aleph. We are continuing to learn Hilchos Kriyas Shema. We'll be learning today Mi'as Hashem Daf Kuf Hey Abed Aleph. We begin a new Siman Ayin Aleph Avel. Someone who's in Avelus, someone who's in mourning, v'ha'oiskim b'meis, and those who are busy taking care of the needs of a niftar. P'turim mikriyas shema, they are exempt from the chiyuv to recite kriyas shema, u'boi zayin seifim, and here we have 7 seifim. It says the Mechaber Sif Aleph. Mi shemeis lo meishu chayav lehis avel olav, somebody who has a close relative, nabach, who's niftar, and it's one of the 7 kroivim that he has a chiyuv to be noyeg avelus for. The Mishnah Berurah Nois Katan Aleph names these relatives. He says, Shu chayiv, Shem Shiva kroivim, these are 7 close relatives, of va'em, parents, a father or mother, bein ubas, a son or a daughter, that's 4, ach va'achais, a brother or a sister, that's 6, the ishtoi, and a wife, or in the case of a woman, a husband, a spouse. So who are the shiva kroivim that you're chayiv to be noeg avelus for? 2 parents, a son or a daughter, a brother or a sister, and a spouse. So again, it says the Mechaber, Misha Meisloi Meishu who chayiv lehis avelulav, somebody who experiences the loss of one of these 7 close relatives. Afilu einoi mutal alav lekavron, even if the responsibility of bringing the mace to the kever does not rest upon this relative, says the Mishnah Berurah in Oiskat Beis, a primary example, einoi mutal, kigain, for example, shemesa achaisai, let's say somebody, Nabach Le'aleinu, loses a sister, hanesua labal, who's married. So somebody loses a married sister. Is the responsibility on him to bring his sister to the kever? No. The habal chayv l'tapel b'kfurasa. In that case, the responsibility of bringing the nifteres to kvura lies on her husband. So even though this person lost a sister, who's one of the 7 kroivim is chayv to be noeg avelus for, but the responsibility of bringing the nifteres to the kever does not rest upon the brother. It rests upon the husband. Nevertheless, says the Mechaber, somebody loses one of these 7 kroivim, potter mikriyas shema, he is potter from the chiyuv of reciting kriyas shema, u'mitvila, he's also potter from the chiyuv to be mispalel to daven shmona esrei. Says the Mishnah Berurah Katan Gimel potter, he's exempt from the chiyuv. Not only that, says the Chavetz Chaim, ve'im kara, if he would choose to recite kriyas shema, even though he's potter, Eino yoytze. He's not yoytze. He's not yoytze the chiyuv because there is no chiyuv. And why does that matter? V'tzarch laksar v'likrois akara kfura. Let's say somebody has one of these 7 relatives. He lost one of these 7 relatives. Now he has no chiyuv to say kriyas shema, and he chooses to say kriyas shema anyway. Lamaisa, the kfura happens before seifsman kriyas shema. Really, now he has the chiyuv to say kriyas shema, because now the kvura already took place. He's no longer really an oinein, so really now he could go ahead and say kriyas shema. So he'll reason to himself, no, I don't have to because I said kriyas shema earlier. No, the kriyas shema that he said earlier didn't count. He wasn't yoytze his chiyuv of saying kriyas shema then, because at that point in time he had no chiyuv to say kriyas shema. He was an oinein. Now, after the kfura already took place, now he's no longer an oinein. Now he has the chiyuv to say kriyas shema. So he has to say kriyas shema now. Ois Katan Dalet, and here we have a long Mishnah Berurah. Ois Katan Dalet. So the Mechaber said that the oinein, the person who lost one of these 7 close relatives, is pater b'kriyas shema u'mitfila. He's pater both from the chiyuv to recite kriyas shema and the chiyuv to be mispalel, to daven shmona esrei. Says the Chavetz Chaim, that's not the only thing that the oinein is exempt from. V'chein mikol habrachos, he's also exempt from any chiyuv to make any bracha. Afilu berchas hanenin, even berchas hanenin, for example, shakal niyamid varay over a glass of water, or a bari min mezonais on a piece of cake, he's potter even on berchas hanenin. What's the afilu? We know the Gemara Bracha says that kol hanenem olam hazeh below bracha. If you derive benefit from something in olam hazeh without first making a bracha, harezek geisel me'akadosh baruch hu Yisrael. It's as if you stole from the Rabbeinu Shalom and from Klal Yisrael. So you might think that when it comes to Birchas Hanenin, maybe an Oinen is chayiv in Birchas Hanenin. Says the Shulchan Aruch, no. Even if, it says the Mishnah Berurah, even in Birchas Hanenin, an Oinen is potter for making a bracha. And not only that, continues the Chavetz Chaim, umikol mitzvah yisamura is patera. The Oinen is also exempt from any chiyuvei mitzvah. Nevertheless, says the Chavetz Chaim, v'imroitzelechel pas, if the Oinen wants to eat a meal with bread, after even though he doesn't have to make a bracha hamoitzi lechem in haaretz, because that's Birchas Hanenin and he's potter, nevertheless, tzarich lital yadav, he still has to wash. Just v'lo yavarech al netila, he wouldn't make a bracha of asher kedishanu b'mitzvahs of etzivanu al netilas yadayim. Okay, so far what we've seen over here is somebody loses one of the 7 close relatives that he's mechuyev to be noeg afelus for. Now he has the din of an oinen, and an oinen is potter to be called mitzvah yisamura is patera, and therefore he's potter from kriya shema, he's potter from tefillah, and the Mishnah Berurah said he's potter from any brachas, he's potter from any mitzvahs. Now says the Chavetz Chaim, v'im yesh chabura ba'ir. Let's say the city has a chevra kadisha, shenoihagid shekatofim miyuchadim l'hoitzi ames, and the chevra kadisha has people whose job it is to go take the mace, to take the nifter out of the house. They bring him to the funeral parlor, right? And then they take care of him. They do the tara, they put on the tachrichim, and eventually it's the chevra kadisha who actually physically brings him to the kever. And very often it's even the chevra kadisha that actually makes the burial. So says the Chavetz Chaim, Im yesh chabura be'ir shenehagin shekatofim yuchadim loitzi ames. If there's a chevra in the city, and the minig is that it is the people from the chevra who are moitzi the mace, who take the nifter out of the house, ula'achar shenisasku akroivim b'tzarchai ames, so that when the relatives are finished taking care of the initial needs of the mace. So let's say a person was nifter at home. So the people in the house, they went ahead, they did the initial things that have to be done. Maybe the minig is to take the nifter, place the nifter on the floor with something underneath him, between him and the floor. So maybe the family members did these things, and then they called the chevra. Now the chevra kadisha comes, and now the chevra kadisha is going to take the nifter out of the house. Yimseru lahem v'hem yikperu. Now you're giving the nifter over to the chevra kadisha. The chevra kadisha is going to see to it to bring the nifter to kfura. In that case, says the Chavetz Chaim, technically speaking, misha misaru lahem. Once you give the nifter over to the chevra kadisha, miyad chayiv b'chol mitzvahs. Technically, right away the oinanim should cease to have a din of oinanim, and they should be chayiv in kol mitzvahs b'torah. Maybe even before the chevra kadisha actually removes the nifter from the house. Why? You see, really, why is it that the oinen is potter from mitzvahs? Why doesn't the oinen make brachas? Why is the oinen potter in kriya shema? Because the oinen has to be taken up with the tzarchei hames. We don't want the oinen to have any distractions from taking care of the tzarchei hames. Therefore, says the Chavetz Chaim, technically speaking, if there's a chevra kadisha and the minig is that you give the nifter over to the chevra kadisha takes care of everything. So then the tzarchei hames are not mutal on the relatives. They're not the ones that have the responsibility to take care of the tzarchei hames. They gave it over to the chevra. In that case, really, they should be chayiv in all mitzvahs. Ulefizeh, and based on this, says the Chavetz Chaim, lo yofe oisim, it's not proper ha'oininim lo yafa oisim ha'oininim. It's not proper what some oininim do. Shemamtinim lehispalel ad achar hakfura, that they wait to daven and to say Kriya Shema until after the Kfura. He says that's, if there's a Chaver Kadisha, that's not really proper. The Tekev Kishet is Pashru Chaver Kadisha. Once they make the arrangement with the Chaver Kadisha that the Chaver Kadisha is going to take care of everything, Ba'ad Makim Kfura, they tell the Chaver Kadisha exactly where the burial plot is. V'nastu lehem kol ha'itzois, they paid the Chaver Kadisha whatever the Chaver Kadisha needs to be paid in order to take care of the Kfura. V'tachrichim, and they gave the Chaver Kadisha the tachrichim of the mace. Nowadays, people don't even have tachrichim, a lot of people. It's the Chaver Kadisha is the one who provides the tachrichim. You pay for the tachrichim, but the Chaver Kadisha provides the tachrichim. But what the Chofetz Chaim is saying is, if there's a Chaver Kadisha that's going to take care of the Tzarchei HaMeis, so then once you make all the arrangements that you need to make with the Chaver Kadisha, you told the Chaver Kadisha where the burial plot is, you paid the Chaver Kadisha. If you have tachrichim for the mace, you gave the tachrichim to the Chaver Kadisha. So in that case, chayavim lehispalel. So then there's no more tzarchei HaMeis that the relatives need to take care of. So then there's no reason that they shouldn't daven, because the tzarchei HaMeis isn't on them anyway. V'amnam, however, says the Chofetz Chaim, L'pa'amim, there are times sha'adayin einon shavin be'ezah makom yikberu, where it's still not 100% clear where the burial plot is and exactly which plot the mace is going to be buried in. V'hu kvaydei shel mace, and that is a major aspect of kavod mace. And therefore, since there's something which is still not yet 100% clear, you can't say that the Chaver Kadisha is completely in charge of the Tzarchei HaMeis, because there's still an open question that might require the family's input. Oy kol zman shemaspidin oisai, or as long as the Levaya is going on, as long as Hespedim are going on, as I potter, then the relatives still certainly are oininim. The tekef achazeh mutar lehispal, but right after all that is finished, they're allowed to daven the chayiv, and the chayiv to daven. Now, just we should realize, halakha l'maisa nowadays, the minig is, since in most cases the relatives, they attend the levaya, so they're attending the espedim. If the kfura is happening locally, they go to the beis hakvaros. So then you remain an oinain until the kever is actually filled up. The gay is sometimes a base is going to Eretz Yisrael, let's say. So somebody's here in New York and the base is going to Eretz Yisrael. Once they handed over the nifter to the authorities and to the ones that are accompanying the mace to Eretz Yisrael, so then their aninus is over, because they can no longer be involved in the Tzarchei HaMeis even if they wanted to. So in that case, the chiyuv of Kriya Shema and the chiyuv of Tefillah would be on them. Aval, however, says the Chofetz Chaim, b'makom she'ein chabura hamiyuchedes lazeh, in a place where there is no Chaver Kadisha, av sheyesh lo mishi yisasek bakfura avuroi, even if there is somebody else other than the relatives who could take charge of the Tzarchei HaMeis, but it's not a Chaver Kadisha, it's not a fixed person. Nimshach ha'aninus, in that case the aninus continues ad sheyik beruhu, until the kfura is actually made, v'yashlichu ha'afar olav, so that the kever already is filled with dirt. Umiyad shemaschilu lahashlicha ha'afar olav, but as soon as they're throwing dirt into the kever, yelech ha'avel l'bayis shel ha'kvaros, really the avel could already go to, let's say, the office by the Beis Olam, v'yikra, and he could say Kriya Shema v'yispal sham, and he could daven there. V'em nimshach aninus ad samach l'seif zman Kriya Shema. Let's say the aninus is continuing almost until the end of Zman Kriya Shema. Shehu ad revi'ah hayoim, which is a quarter of the day, right? Still the third hour of the day, so it's a quarter of the day. Kifi erech hashois shel yoim, right? Seasonal hours, shois maniyos. V'em yispal kaseder. And now, so again, we're talking about a case where let's say the levaya ran late, and now the kfura took place, and it's almost Zman Kriya Shema. It's 5 minutes to Zman Kriya Shema. V'em yispal kaseder. And now, if this fellow tries to daven a regular davening, right? Berachas Hashakar, Pesukei Zimra, Berachas Kriyishma, Yavar Azman Shal Kriyishma, he'll miss man Kriyishma. Yikra Kriyishma below brachas. He should recite Kriyishma without Berachas Kriyishma. V'achakach Yispal Kaseder, and then go ahead and daven in the normal order. V'yikra Oidapam Kriyishma ima brachas, and then he'll say Kriyishma again with Berachas Kriyishma. But just say Kriyishma before davening so that you can make Zman Kriyishma. V'im nimshach ha'aninus ad lachar arba shois. Let's say everything is dragging out so that the aninus is not going to end until the 4th hour of the day, aka Zman Tefillah. Das HaMagen Avram, it's the opinion of the Magen Avram in that case. The Berachas HaShachar, the Hainu Mashe Kodim Bar Sha'amar, the Berachas HaShachar, right? Etc., that we say before Bar Pesukei Zimra, Lo Yoyreim Av Sheyesh Lo Pnai. He shouldn't say that. Why? Because when it was really the Zman Tefillah, right? This fellow, let's say the nifter was nifter middle of the night, or very, very early in the morning. So when Alois came along, this person had no chiyuv of Berachas Hashachar because he was an Einan. So now the Chavetz Chaim is saying, he says, if the aninus is going until after Soif Zman Tefillah, now the kfura was made, the person is no longer an Einan, should he say Berachas Hashachar? Says the Chavetz Chaim, no, because when he had the chiyuv, he had no chiyuv. During the Zman of the chiyuv, he was patur because he was an Einan. So now he shouldn't say it. The Yesh Chalkin Olav, Usavik Brachas L'Hakel. Zulach's Berachas HaTorah, with the exception of Berachas HaTorah, or Berachas Shelo Yasani Goy, V'Shelo Yasani Aved, V'Shelo Yasani Isha, Oisan HaBrachas, those brachas, Af L'Magen Avram Yachol Avarech, the Oinein could make those brachas after Zman Tefillah, because we paskin that really the Zman of those brachas and the Zman of Berachas HaTorah is all day, even after Zman Tefillah. V'lo yaniach tefillin, an Oinen does not put on tefillin, Ayla El B'Sivil Abachesiv Hey, V'Yispal Shmoyne Esrei brachas Levad, and then he'll daven Shmoyne Esrei. Aval Berachas Kriyishma, Mashpa B'Shachan Aruch Le'el B'Simin Nun Chesiv Av, the Kfar of Zmanam. If it's after Zman Tefillah, he shouldn't say Berachas Kriyishma, but he is going to say Shmoyne Esrei. Why? It's after Zman Tefillah, because he was an Oinis. Over here, the Chavetz Chaim is paskening like what he said in the Biur Halacha in Siman Nun Ches, that not only Shemona Esrei could you daven if it's after Zman Tefillah, if you were an Oinus, you can also say Berachas Kriyishma. He says it could be everybody would agree that he should say Pesukei Zimra. Ayla El B'Simin Nun Beis B'Chadusha Rabbi Kiva Eger. V'im adayin lo yikalu harba shoishu shloshah yom. And if the aninus ends before the end of the 4th hour, so before the end of Zman Tefillah, rakshu samuch l'zmanahu, but it's close to Zman Tefillah, v'im yispal kaseder yavar Zman Tefillah, and if he takes the time to daven in an ordinary davening, he's going to Zman Tefillah, v'yitztarach l'yispal Shemona Esrei achar shloshah yom, and he'll end up davening Shemona Esrei after Zman Tefillah, yidalek Pesukei Zimra. So then he should abridge his Pesukei Zimra. But then like we learned the halachas in Siman Nun Beis of somebody who comes late to shul and he wants to make tefillah b'tzibur, how should he abridge his Pesukei Zimra? So this person who was an Einin, and the kfura takes place, let's say, again, like 5 minutes before Zman Tefillah, so he doesn't have time to daven a whole regular davening, he should abridge Pesukei Zimra like the halachas that we saw in Siman Nun Beis. But he should not skip anything from Berachas Kriyishma or Kriyishma, even though that might make him daven Shemona Esrei after Zman Tefillah, ayin sham tamei. V'yesh la'ayin, and the Mishnah says, yesh la'ayin l'v'yishma kasav b'tchila. Yeah. Oid kasav b'derech Chaim, he says, the Derech Chaim writes, we mentioned earlier that Shelo Yasani Goy, Shelo Yasani Aved, Shelo Yasani Isha, and Berachas HaTorah, those brachas you can make even after Zman Tefillah, because the Zman for those brachas are all day. Even if the Kfura takes place after midday, takes place after Chatzos, you could still make these brachas. But Shemon Esrei of Shachris, you could only daven until Chatzos, even if you're an Oinus. Gam, furthermore, says the Chavetz Chaim, Ein tzarich lahashlim oisa tefillah b'tefillah hasmucha. Let's say the Aninus ran all the way into Chatzos. So do you daven a tashlumin for Shachris by Mincha? Says the Chavetz Chaim, no. Kigoinim lo yispal Shachris lo yashlim b'mincha. You don't daven a tashlumin. Why? Because this is not like a case where somebody had an oinus and he didn't daven Shachris. So now he could daven a tashlumin by Mincha. Or where he forgot and he didn't daven Shachris, so now he could daven a tashlumin by Mincha. No. In those cases, the person was mechuyev to daven Shachris, just either because of an oinus or because he forgot, he failed to daven Shachris. So now he can daven a tashlumin. But over here, the reason the person didn't daven Shachris is because he was potter from davening Shachris. In that case, there's no din of tashlumin. However, says the Chavetz Chaim, when is this halacha true? This halacha is true, let's say, if the nifter was nifter in the middle of the night. So you never had a chiyuv of davening Shachris from Alois HaShachar, from dawn until Chatzos, you never had a chiyuv to daven Shachris, because right when you woke up in the morning, you were anointed. So you never had a zman of chiyuv. But I skipped 1 second. But let's say the mace was nifter mid-morning. So let's say the mace was nifter 9 o'clock. So until 9 o'clock, you had a chiyuv to daven Shachris. Now you lost a relative, so now you're anointed. Now you aren't able to daven until Chatzos. In that case, you do have a din tashlumin. Why? Because from Alois HaShachar until 9 o'clock, you had a chiyuv to daven Shachris and you didn't. So then there's a din tashlumin. Because since you had a chiyuv, even though you couldn't be mekayim it, once you had the chiyuv on you, you have to make a tashlum by mincha. And it could be in this case you would also have a chiyuv to say all of the berachas hashachar. Because you started off the day with a chiyuv. Halacha. We're going to stop over here. We'll continue next time, Yirtzeh Hashem, with Mishnah Berurah Ois Cut Hay. Thank you for joining me for Liman HaTorah. Discuss of Liman HaTorah Shiva Megan against Klai Yisrael the Baruch Shem Shen. Yeshua's first Parnasset Shtuchim Tolos in need. We should be zeichet to see the BSK Tzedek B'Meherav Yameinu Amen. Be well.